Good morning. Welcome this morning on, today's Tuesday, November 9th. Welcome, Jan Akins. Good morning to you. It's a drizzly morning, so we're back here in my office this morning. Jim and Kathy, good to see you this morning. Welcome. Put this back here. See who else comes. Sally Crocker, good morning to you. There's my mom, good morning. Wendy Chadwick, good morning. And Jeremy too, if you're also watching. Dana Krieshock, Jake Faust, Jonathan Cassis, good morning everybody. Debbie King, good to see you. Welcome everyone. Deanne Fine, good morning. Daryl and Suzanne, welcome this morning. Good morning, everybody. We're finishing up Ecclesiastes chapter 2 this morning. So if you have your Bible, Barbara Richardson, welcome this morning. So the end of chapter 2 summarizes the entire chapter. Let me grab my Bible here. So there are three themes of chapter 2. Then he draws a conclusion at the end. So one theme we haven't read yet, we're going to read that this morning, and we're going to draw a conclusion. So remember, when chapter 2 begins, he is conducting this experiment of all men do under the sun. And this phrase, under the sun, to Solomon, has to do with our experiences of this life, which are of great value. We as believers often emphasize primarily what we do in this life affects the next life, our eternal life with God in his presence and the kingdom of God, that Jesus is going to sit on David's throne and we'll be in God's presence forever. And much of the New Testament looks forward to that. Solomon's perspective, and Ecclesiastes in particular, he obviously his faith includes what happens after death, but the content of Ecclesiastes really has to do primarily with what is good in this life. Everything men do under the sun. In other words, while we're still living, what is profitable? What is there to be gained is the word he used. And so beginning of chapter 2, he begins with pleasure and achievement. And all that his hands, has accomplished, he's endeavored to enjoy it. So food, wine, which is, from grapes that he himself planted and grew. Building large buildings, managing his estate and all of the employees on his estate. He allowed his heart to enjoy music and song and all these good things, but his conclusion at the end was pleasure. Even though I enjoyed it, it didn't last. It was impermanent. It kind of slips through your fingers. It's like chasing after the wind. It's not something I could put in the bank. So it's impermanent. This idea of impermanence is what kind of pervades the rest of chapter 2. So we read yesterday about the limitations of wisdom. So I'm really wise, Solomon acknowledges, and I've made a lot of good choices and built the kingdom. But the reality is that too is impermanent. After I'm gone, no one's going to remember me. So what good is it to be overly wise? In the end, he kind of, as he really kind of meditates on it, he concludes that section. So I hated life. If I can't control what happens after I die, what's the point? It's kind of this futility um, fatalistic idea. And this is, he draws these conclusions over and over in Ecclesiastes. And so we can kind of relegate it to, this is a cynical, grumpy person. It's like, why would we read Ecclesiastes? But he uses strong language like this to really grab our attention to what is really worthwhile to focus our attention on. So if extreme wisdom, I can't control what happens after I die, I'm going to be forgotten, I can't influence the future, then I hated, if that's my focus, it caused me to hate life today. But there's another choice. We're going to get to that by the end. You don't have to, the wise thing is to change your focus to something that is worthwhile, and so on. Let's finish up the chapter with his third, he's talked about pleasure, he's talked about wisdom, now he's going to talk about toil, all his hard work. He says, I hated all my toil in which I toil under the sun, seeing that I must leave it to the man who will come after me. And you can read this section for yourself, but the main point is, again, impermanence. I've built up the kingdom, and when I die, it's going to be handed to someone who didn't do the work, who didn't understand how hard it was and how many hard choices you have to make day in and day out to be able to build all this. And they're just going to take it and not understand the value of it. And that really frustrates him. Again, he has no control over the future. And the impermanence of his influence is limited because the person who comes up after him, does not going to appreciate it and could do something really foolish with it all. And if this is indeed Solomon writing, we know that this becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy because his son divides the kingdom foolishly because of his own pride. And so, after Solomon's the last king of the united kingdom of Israel. After him, it's divided. You have the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. So what he's saying here is true. He has no control over the future. He has, and it frustrates him, this impermanence. So it causes vexation and hardship, and the toil itself becomes very toilsome. He says, "For all his days are full of sorrow." This is the heart of the man who is toiling and striving. I guess I'll just read from verse 22. What has a man from all the toil and striving of heart with which he toils beneath the sun? Remember, there's that phrase, beneath the sun. In this life is primarily what the writer of Ecclesiastes is concerned about. What is good about this life? How do we navigate it wisely? Pleasure is limited. It doesn't last. Wisdom is limited. You're going to be forgotten. You have no influence on the future. All this hard work I'm doing is limited because someone else is going to enjoy it. And it is indeed hard work. And he says, for all his days, verse 23, all his days are full of sorrow. His work is a vexation. Even in the night, his heart does not rest. So anybody who has a great deal of responsibility, or you care deeply about the things you do, you know that sometimes you wake up in the middle of the night and your mind starts churning on these things and you can't sleep. That is the cost of things that we care about deeply. And toil is hardship, and what we are working toward just requires a lot of energy out of us. It's striving, and sometimes we lose sleep over it. So what is to be gained by all that if someone else is going to just spend it and not really understand the value of it? And he says this is vanity. So we're drawing into the conclusion now, beginning in verse 22, how he wraps up the chapter, all three of these themes, and the impermanence of pleasure, wisdom, and toil. Even though each of those three things are good, he says they're good in this life, but they're limited. They don't last. So what should we conclude? And here's the big zinger for us all in this final part of chapter 2. He concludes, there is nothing better for a person than that he should eat and drink and find enjoyment in his toil. So I can't control the future. Pleasure is impermanent. It slips through your fingers. It's good for the moment, but I can't put it in the bank for tomorrow. Um, Wisdom is good. It's much better than being the fool. Toil, as hard as it is, and as much as it takes out of you, is good. So the key is enjoy it for what it is. Enjoy it today. There is nothing better for a person than he should eat and drink and find enjoyment in his toil. And I would say in the fruit of your toil as much as the toil itself, because he just described that the toil is vexing. It keeps you up at night. Okay, so how do I find pleasure in that? It is in the fruit of how that pays off in this life. So it's the whole reason why we value delayed gratification, right? I'm going to do the hard work today because I know in time it will pay off. He's not advocating here, just live hand to mouth, just enjoy as much pleasure as you can now because you're going to die, and what good is there to be overly wise or work hard? Just enjoy whatever you can. It's not that kind of lifestyle he's promoting. It's more do the hard work, live a wise life, have pleasure, but enjoy it for what it is, not for what it's not. He says if you're trying to make it so that you have control over things that's not designed to give you control over, you're just going to be frustrated. You're going to be chasing the wind. If you want pleasure to last, like you could put it in the bank, you're going to be disappointed all the time. So look at your life and enjoy it for what it is. The toil, if you're enjoying what you're doing in the moment, enjoy it for what it is. If the toil is difficult and hard, enjoy it for the fruit it will produce. It's like I'm working, this is a means to an end. I can put in the hard work today because I know it's going to buy me, in the nearer term, it's going to buy me groceries. It's going to help pay my mortgage. In the long term, it's going to enable me to have some extra income for that unforeseen purchase I need to make. If there's a hole in my roof or my AC goes out in my house, or whatever it is, or I need to replace a vehicle, or retirement. You're looking even longer term. So we are working today, either enjoying the toil for what it is, but in those times when it's really hard, it's keeping us up at night, we think about, okay, it's bearing fruit. And so we can enjoy that it will bear fruit for the future. But nonetheless, we are looking at trying to find satisfaction in what these things are designed to give us in this life, not trying to find something they are not designed to give. Pleasure is pleasurable now. It's not designed to be something we can put in the bank and so on. Wisdom is good. It's far better than being a fool, but it has its limits. It's not going to have a direct influence on the future unless those people choose to utilize the wisdom that you've created. But they have their own choices. You have no control over it. The hard work you're doing today is bearing fruit for you to enjoy, and kind of let go of the fact that after you, someone could take that business that you built and bled for and so on and run it into the ground. But you're not even going to be around. It's okay. You're going to be in heaven, right? So enjoy it for what it is. We shouldn't be frustrated about things that these things aren't designed to produce in us. And so where does this, and it's a decision we make. And so he rightly makes this observation, but he gives us this key to the wisdom in that its source is found in God. Let me keep reading. He says, it's nothing better for a person that he should eat and drink and find enjoyment in his toil. This also I saw is from the hand of God. This is how God has designed it. And this is a gift that he offers us if we have eyes to see it, to understand. He says, for apart from him, who can eat or who can have enjoyment? It truly is looking through. Solomon is giving us the wisdom of these very temporal things, but seeing how God has given them to us to produce fruit, to produce things that we can enjoy now, even in their limited ways. 4, verse 26, the one who pleases him, God, has given wisdom and knowledge and joy. So this is talking about ethical choices we make every day to do the right thing, day in, day out. God, as a result, will give you this gift of enjoying your labor, enjoying those good choices, enjoying the pleasures within the scope of his will that he intends for you to enjoy. But there's a choice we make not to pursue that, he says, but to the sinner, those who choose not to follow the wisdom of Solomon and not to please God and not to find the source of joy in God, to the sinner, he has given the business of gathering and collecting. They're going to do the same work that you're doing. But the difference is, he says, they're gathering and collecting only to give it to the one who pleases God. And from Solomon's perspective, this person who pleases God and this person who is a sinner is not one who's going to go to heaven and one who's going to go to hell. This is not kind of that category in this particular context. And if we read these later in the same book of Ecclesiastes, Solomon he limits it to their experience in this life based upon their choices. So the one who pleases God is going to make consistently good choices and experience the fruit of those choices. Even the hard things, even though toil is sometimes vexing, it's hard. You're going to lose sleep. You consistently make those good choices, you're going to see the fruit of that. You're actually going to be able to enjoy it. Whereas the sinner is one who tries to cut corners. He's trying to continue in this path of saying, if I'm just wiser, if I'm just work harder, I will be able to produce things that these things aren't designed by God to produce. You just keep striving after the wind, and you're just not going to enjoy it. And in the end, it is actually foolish to produce. It's kind of ironic as I think about it, to continue on a path of pursuing extreme wisdom is foolish. Isn't that strange? Because it doesn't produce what you think it's going to produce. You have to be able to pull back, understand its limits, and enjoy the gift it is, and that is from God. And it's only to be enjoyed by someone who is pleasing God, who sees the limits, sees the source of these things as from God. And he wraps up the chapter. This also is vanity and striving after the wind. That is referring to the sinner who is doing all the same work, gathering and collecting, only to give it to someone else who gets the big picture and can enjoy it. And so it makes me think of I thought of this earlier this morning, the parable of the rich fool that Jesus teaches in Luke chapter 12. He is doing all the gathering and collecting. He is working hard. And he gets this giant harvest, bigger harvest than he's ever gotten. And so the result is he builds bigger barns. And he goes, great, now I'm going to enjoy it. Well, that very night he dies. And Jesus says, what a fool. He didn't know how to enjoy it when he could. And even though I think obviously Jesus is making maybe a more broader point in his context, I think that still applies to what Solomon is saying here. We're all going to do the work of the gathering and the producing and the working and trying to make good choices and so on. But our ability to enjoy it while we do it has to do with our choices. We must also see the limits of wisdom, the limits of pleasure, the limits of our toil, what they're not supposed to bring us, and kind of align our expectation of these things to the reality of what they're designed to give. And in that, if we choose to seek the Lord and to please him in these things, we will experience joy. We will experience contentment. So apply this to your life wherever you're at. I mean, sometimes we can say, man, I'm doing all this work. I'm staying up late at night and stuff to take care of babies at home. Maybe you have kids at home right now, or you have your grandbabies, or you're in the middle of your career and you're working so hard and the work is vexing. It is causing you to lose sleep. Enjoy it for the fruit that it will produce. But don't think that just because I'm suffering now, well, then that's just going to be my experience all my life. So what good is it? I hate it. If that's where we're focusing, we're not focusing on the right thing, what it's designed to give us. So Solomon does us a huge favor. And then I think about those who are retired and not working and so on. And where are we finding our value in that season of life? So wherever it is, wherever you are found, whether you are managing your household, if you are a stay-at-home mom or dad, if you are managing a business or a team of people to produce a product that maybe you don't have a lot of personal connection to, you're just trying to work well with this team, with its ups and downs, and you must look at the fruit of the toil itself, not just the hard day you're having. Or you have whatever, I keep thinking of all these different scenarios, whatever scenario fits where you're at. The key to enjoying it is looking at what it's designed to provide, designed by God, and God gives us this perspective. It's a gift from God. And choosing that perspective versus continuing to beat against these things to provide for you something they're not designed to give. And therefore, it's going to result in a chasing after the wind. It's going to result in chasing after it's something that's just always out of our grasp. And it has to do with the choice and seeing the value of things for what they're designed to give. So Lord bless you today as you continue in that endeavor. We're all in this together. We're all doing the same things. You know, the details are different for each of our lives, but really we're all living a very similar life. And these words are truly wise for us to understand the gift of God that he gives us today. Apply this to your situation. I'd love to hear from you as to how these things help you to navigate wisely your life and to really enjoy even the hard things because you have the right perspective. So let me know in the comments. Talk to me when you see me. I'd love to hear from you. So Lord bless you today, and we'll see you again tomorrow morning.